Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Sadhguru at Sadhguru at Harvard University. So this was a request. If you have a request, please leave the title of the video, the YouTube channel, the length. If you leave the link, it might get held for review. So the title and the channel and the link, kind of separate them by spaces. That way I can search for it very easily. And the way CC's on, let's go ahead and get started. It's an hour long, so maybe 2 videos. Unedited version.
We are delighted to have Sadhguru on stage. We have been planning for this for about 6 months, and to see him on stage is an exciting thing for all of us here in the organizing team. I had planned a long introduction to Sadhguru, and then I realized he needs no introduction. So I take the easier way out and introduce the student moderators. Here we have Nitisha, Tanvi, and Vikram. Nitisha and Vikram from the Harvard Kennedy School and Tanvi from the Harvard Business School. They're prepped up, all set, and here we go.
Jananam sukadham maranam karunam milanam maduram smaranam karunam कालवशादिहा सकलं करुणं समयाद्धिपते अखिलं करुणम्. Namaskaram, good morning to everyone. I said good morning. Please.
Okay. Sadhguru, we'll start with some questions on the internal contradictions that exist within us. So more on the philosophical side, and then we'll move to the world or politics side of the questions. So our first question is that in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna advises us to keep putting in effort without being attached to the results. But I find it incredibly hard to keep working and not obsess over the results. And I would love to know how we can better practice putting in effort while being detached to the results.
I first heard of this, put very simply, when I was in college taking world religions class. The teacher, I do believe, was Indian. She had what looks like what Sadhguru is wearing in a sense, and also had the red dot on her forehead. I'm not sure what she followed. She never really, she's a teacher. She didn't really give that away, so I don't know. I've heard before in some jokes that the red dot indicates usually marriage, but then also I was watching these that usually is an indication of maybe the third eye being open as well. So I don't know which it meant for her. I don't know if it means either one of those either. But anyways, she told me about Buddhism, about the one phrase that really stuck with me is to give it 110%, but expect nothing from the results. And before that time, I've never really thought about that. Generally speaking, when you commit to a work, you want good results. You'll be heartbroken if you don't get the expected results out of it. And this is basically what she's saying. And then again, whenever she said it, it just reminded me of that time. And it's something that is very good to live by. And I never thought about it as being a detachment to things, but more along the lines of doing your best and accepting the results. That is it. Don't expect anything. And if you go into it not expecting anything, and if nothing happens, then that's what you expected. If something good happens, that's great, that's fantastic. But yeah, that is a very difficult thing to achieve in life, I'm sure. To go and do something and expect nothing from it. I have tried to live by that ever since I ever heard that from my world religion teacher. I've tried to live by putting in the work and expecting nothing out of it. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm sure there's been many times where I have expected some results from it, but there's also been times where I have put in some work, the results didn't come back, and I was not as affected by it as I should have been. I would have been, should I say, had I've not tried to live that way. A very good way to live. Care about what you do, but don't care about the results. Kind of way.
Well, I'm not in any way well studied about any scripture.
I was gonna say, I wish… Do I have that? No, I don't. I do have some books in reserve on my wish list about the the Bhagavad Gita, or is it the Upanishads? I don't remember which one. I was gonna put a poll out there if I know how to do that on YouTube and put the suggestions and have you guys vote on which one I should get. But I haven't done that. I don't know how to do the poll thing, so leave in the comments. Never mind. I have to first do it. I'll figure it out somehow. But yeah, I was like, I wish I would have listened to the audio file before trying to answer this question. But I guess I'm in the same boat with Sadhguru here.
It's unfortunate, but I have to say I have not even read the Gita.
Uh-oh.
But we know the life of Krishna, that people think Krishna means butter, girls and flute. But you need to understand this. All these things happen only till he was 16 years of age. Till you're 16 years of age, well, some butter, some flute, how many girls till 16? I'm asking, practically. So after 16, he lived an extremely committed life. His commitment was to marry the political process of the day with the spiritual process, because he saw unless those who wield power are essentially in their experience have a larger sense of life and an inclusive sense of identity, not my family, my children, my husband, my wife, this stuff, you have a larger sense of identity, only then you must wield power. Otherwise, it will lead to corruption. People say, power is corruption.
People say, at least for where I'm from, absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's not to say power corrupts. Power does have a tendency to corrupt, but I guess the saying that I hear is absolute power absolutely corrupts.
Power is not corruption. Limited identity is corruption. They believe they're doing the right things and they're doing the horrible things all the time because their identity is so small. So he was…
That's weird. I remember him talking before, is this the identity is the problem. I guess maybe he'll go on because it's the fact that we have attachment to identities. It's the reason why we have the separation, this friction, this struggle, this conflict within us is because of these identities. But I think he's going to say the identity needs to expand out to the point of there is no identity. Okay, I was going to say that's weird why he's saying the identity is the problem whenever the small identity is the problem, when in the past he said that identity is the problem. So I think he's going to say expansion of that identity to be all-inclusive to the point of no identity will solve the problem.
Trying to change this. This was his whole life's mission. and always working for results. Hello? A man who's working with such intensity and commitment is not working for not producing results. Obviously, he's working for results. The problem is, you heard what Krishna said through the words of a king's servant. Nobody else told you. He only spoke to Arjuna. Arjuna never spoke. He lived for 36 years after that incident, but he never uttered one word what Krishna told him. Have you heard anywhere? He ruled as a king, but never once he said, Krishna told me this on the battlefield, not once. So everything that you have heard is only from Sanjaya, who was a king's servant. You must understand the quality of a king's servant, he's very reliable. See,
It makes me wonder, how does he know these stories if he's not… He does claim that he doesn't read much books and much text. I'm guessing he may have heard stories about it from other people. I'm guessing he's a listener of things, I suppose. Or maybe he just didn't read the major books, maybe, like the Bhagavad Gita, good lord, I will say that correctly one day, and the Upanishads, along with a few others, I'm sure.
if you, let's say, if your husband or wife or children, they saw something, they come and tell you, they will add a little bit of their own stuff and tell you. It is intrinsic to a human being. Their own opinions, ideas, other things will naturally get into what they're speaking.
I guess they put a little bit of their own experience into it. How they perceive it is how they're gonna tell it to you. When you see someone walking towards you, if it's a child, the child's part of the company is like, this guy is walking all proud and stout. And then if another guy sees this person, an adult, it's like, this guy's walking with some arrogance. And all this guy was just doing is just walking. The child sees this person as proud and happy and glad. The other dude sees this as an arrogant fool. Another dude sees this guy as just some happy-go-lucky guy, some friendly person. All a little bit of twists of who… personal experience of a person. Even though they didn't have no experience with the guy that they're just walking by.
But a king's servant is trained never to add his opinion, otherwise his head will go. He will only interpret everything word by word as it was. So he is a kind of a ancient tape recorder. Okay, he's recording and just telling the king, this is what he's saying. But there's no context. What is shared between two people where there's a very deep relationship? If two lovers are doing something, talking to each other, somebody else may think they're quarreling, but they're doing their love affair. So this is a love affair between Krishna and Arjuna because they know each other very intimately. So he's speaking a certain language. So as king's servant takes word by word without knowing the context or understanding what it is, the experiential dimension of what it is, and he's saying. So having said that, see, essentially it is just this, whatever you wish to do in your life, you have goals. What kind of goal will you set up? Right now you're in the university. What kind of goal will you set up? What you already know, you will exaggerate that a little bit and think it's a big goal in your life. Generally people call this an ambition, I call this a constipation. Because you're trying to handle life little by little, just like constipation.
No, I figure you're trying to push constipation out, like really hard to get it done and over with. You're not trying to make that thing last.
If you have a goal, your goal cannot be something absolutely new. It is only an exaggeration of what you already know, yes or no? Can you think of a goal that you simply don't know? How is it even possible? So, what he is saying is, there is a direction we have taken, but you have to be dedicated to the process. Otherwise, goal will just be hallucination. If you do one thing right now, just don't take this one breath, take the other breaths, let me see. That's all he's saying. He's saying without taking this step properly, you hallucinate about the goal. What is the point? In yoga, we say this very simply. We say if you have one eye on the goal, you have only one eye to find your way, it's inefficient, that's all. So he's just talking about in a battle, if you're inefficient, it is not that you won't get your increment or promotion, you just get dead. Hello? In a battle, if you're inefficient, you think you will just lose your marks or something? A grade you will lose, is that what it is? No, you will be buried that evening. So he is telling him, because Arjuna is talking about how to kill all these people and me become a king, he says, you idiot, you've not become a king yet. You need to shoot this guy in front of you now, properly. Otherwise, you're not the king, you will be buried today evening. That's all he's trying to tell him.
So basically, take one step at a time. Don't look so far ahead that you lose sight of what's in front of you.
Is it wrong? So, every year in the month of November, we have a business event. So, 200 CEOs were there last year also, this November it's coming again. And they just look at how seamlessly Isha Foundation functions. Variety of activity, all volunteers. Volunteers means what? Nobody's trained for the job.
I just love his definition of volunteers. It's just, untrained people, free work.
They are super
Can't fire
dedicated,
them.
but they're not trained for the job. And you can't fire them because they're volunteers.
Yeah.
If you hire them, you can fire them. They're volunteers, how to fire them, you can't. So they looked at this and said, Sadhguru, we pick up the best from IITs and IIMs and all this stuff. But you're just doing with volunteers and your organization functions better than our companies, how is it? I said, see, all of you are dedicated to the goal. Here, I have continuously instilled in people that you're absolutely devoted to the process. Now what you're doing, you do this well, most of them don't even know where I'm taking them, all right? They're working for a certain project, they don't know what is the goal. I have something else, if I tell them right now, they'll freak. Because my goals are so far, they will give up. So right now, we have instilled this in them, you just absolutely involved in the process. Know the joy of involvement, first of all. Without absolute devotion to what you're doing right now, you will not do anything significant in your life. Whether it's art, music, spirituality, politics, business, take anything. Without being devoted to the process that you're doing right now, you think you will do anything significant? That's all he's saying. It is all the scholars' interpretations and interpretations they are doing, messing up Krishna.
Taking forward the theme, Sadhguru Gade, about the process inside and work outside, when we look around the country today, we see so many problems affecting our fellow Indians: poverty, discrimination on the basis of religion, caste and inequality. And of course, when I look inside myself also, there are problems. I'm very far from having good process, I'm definitely not a yogi. And so, what is the relationship between this work which I need to do inside and the work which I need to do outside? Can I do both? Do I need to do one before the other? How can I go about… because I don't feel like accepting that I can do either one or the other.
Based on… what I would say is basically what Sadhguru said, and which is something I completely agree with him. There's nothing you can do on the outside. You have control over no one and no object, in a sense. I can manipulate this pen, I have a control over this pen, but pen not going to do very much for me. It's write down things I can forget. But in inner workings, I'm sure there's a lot of things you can do. You have absolute control over yourself. Sadhguru, I loved his explanation about the fact that you need to read the instruction manual to yourself. That way you can make yourself happy. Nothing will bother you. And by being able to control yourself, hopefully that will translate into external things of what you do, how you do things, and how you're happy and how you present yourself in the outside world.
See, if you want to lift this tumbler, this amount of water, At least you need that much of strength, isn't it? You may not be a heavyweight lifter, but at least this much muscle you must have. Can I have water, please? Thank you. If you don't have this muscle, even taking up this cup won't happen, isn't it? So tell me, preparing to do something, the preparation should be before or after?
Before.
A whole lot of people think their spiritual process, they will start after they're 70 years of age, when they're no good for anything. If you understand spiritual process as a disability, then that's the way to go. I see spiritual process as the greatest empowerment in my life's experience. I think it should happen at the earliest possible time. Unless you're planning to live elsewhere, those people who are in the upper strata, I'm telling you. If you're thinking you'll go there and live well, that's up to you. To put it in perspective, one of my projects, of the many projects, one of the projects is, before I fall dead, I want to make sure all the heavens are destroyed.
Ooh.
Is that okay? No? You want to go there? Because I want to destroy the good food in the Hindu heaven. I want to make sure that people eat good food here. I want to destroy all those angels who are floating up in the clouds and heavens. I want people, angelic people, to be here. And of course, I want to destroy all those virgins up there.
That doesn't sound…
Because the very idea that there is a better place to live than this is a crime.
I can agree. I've said this before, this is our paradise. That doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's living in paradise, but how we create this world, how we shape this world, what we do in this world, well, we end up getting the results on what we do.
You want to make a hell out of this and go somewhere? So, this is the fundamental issue. The issue is just this: if you want to do something, what can you do? You can only do what you are. Can you do something more? Can you? You can stretch yourself, but still only what you are, isn't it? So is it not important that first you enhance what you are? If you enhance this, activity will naturally happen. Right now, this is one complaint I'm seeing, and I'm seeing even in the universities, people are going like this. We didn't walk like this when I barely went, but the little I went, we were… I'm seeing people are walking like this. It looks like they're practicing their last posture. See, the problems of life have not yet hit you, okay? When you're in the university, they have not yet hit you. It's a very protected atmosphere. All you have to do is read some dumb textbook and write something. I'm not trying to belittle the study, but I'm saying the real problems of life have not yet hit you, right? The true challenges have not come yet. Here only if you're overwhelmed by this, how the hell will you live in the world, I'm asking? How will you take up any big issue? I'm saying, if you are an issue by yourself, obviously you will not take up any big issue and try to bring solutions, isn't it? First and foremost thing you must do is, in your life, you are not the issue, never. I am not the problem in my life. There are problems and problems. How many we can solve, we will see. All of them will never be solved. But how many can we clear in our life is a big question. But if you yourself are a problem, you yourself being problem means, see, I'm just meeting people every day, 50, 60 years of age, still they've not figured how to handle their thought and emotion. When are you going to get it? I'm asking. See, these are very fantastic faculties that only human being has, right? No other creature can think like us, no other creature can emote like us. They're very limited stuff. Here it is so evolved Now you're suffering that immensely. If you don't learn how to handle your thought and emotion, you're already 30, 40, 50 years of age, when are you going to learn? Now, what is your lifespan? A million years, is it? I didn't know. What is the lifespan in Harvard University? Is it not very important that by the time you're 12, 15 years of age, you know how to handle your thought and emotion? Otherwise, you're a bloody issue all the time.
Well, and nowadays it seems like that's when most of the issues arrive, apparently between the age of 14 to 30, I'm guessing.
You don't need any outside issue. You just leave people alone by themselves. They are a big issue by themselves. When you're alone, if you're miserable, you're obviously in bad company, isn't it? Hello? So if you don't settle this, if you step out, well, you will go about blundering and messing around all the time. It looks like you're working for a solution, but when you are a problem, you'll only spread problems. It may look like a temporary solution. This is the reason why after 1,000 years we're still talking about the same problems. Obviously we've not solved it, isn't it? After 1,000 years, if human beings have the same problem, that's very stupid, isn't it so? Only the phones are getting smart, sir, you know. Phones are getting smarter by the… See, if you have to call somebody, he's very smart. When do you do that? When you find him smarter than you. Yes or no? Only then you say, oh, he's very smart. So when you call a phone very smart, it's a statement. So can I do these things both together? Because enhancing yourself is a limitless process. It's not a graduation that's going to be over at one time. But the fundamental is just this: human beings are going through variety of suffering. Well, those who are in situations of famine, war, those things, let's keep it aside. Fortunately, still it's a small population, all right? If you don't take care of it, it could become very large. That is one thing, we will keep them aside. Krishna is talking about even they're not being bothered on the battlefield. That's a different matter, I won't take you that far. We will give a margin for them. But those of you who had breakfast in the morning, what is your problem? Hello? In India, in southern India, where you come from, in the villages if you go, people will come and inquire, "Ota madra? Ota aita?" Yes? Saptingla? What this means is, the only question they will ask you is, have you eaten? Because after you've eaten, what is the problem?
What, I haven't drank though. Nah, I'm sure that's probably inclusive in that. But it's true though, it's true though.
No, for most human beings, if they've not eaten, there's only one problem, food. The moment they eat, they have 100 problems.
And again, this is my theory on… usually people say a lot of things that are Western problems, but I don't necessarily believe it's necessarily a Western problem, but it does kind of seem like it. And I think it's mostly a developed nations problem, or even more so you could say developed cities, because even in developed nations, there are certain areas in America that are not, like, I wouldn't say necessarily developed. You would not think it to be in America, but it is. Most of the problems tend to be in like really dense population that's, relatively speaking, richer cities. Like major cities, like look at New York, or certain, like even California, the state itself. I believe the last statistics I heard, if California became its own state, it'd be like the 5th richest country in the world. It's kind of crazy, but yet there's still a lot of problems there. But again, you know, look at the people that live there. I'm not saying all of them, but you look at some of them and you will see issues that are so irrelevant, yet they make a big deal out of it. And I just have a feeling this is just a consequence of a city that's developed past simple problems: food, water, and shelter. And the reason why I think it's still kind of a cultural thing as well in terms of Western, because look at westernized countries, Japan and South Korea, I don't know much about in terms of their issues, but it seems like they have respect for each other. Maybe it's, again, a cultural thing. And I'm sure there are still some people who live in these major cities who do complain about not getting some orders right, but it seems like there might be a more of a minority. And the culture in America, for some parts, is very demanding, very, I don't know how else to say it, under the demanding, self-entitlement, basically, you could say. Not all of America, not everyone, but you tend to see this more in like bigger cities, and cities that tend to pay better or richer, again, more developed cities. Not everyone in the city, but you see this, and I think it's growing. Which is a good and a bad thing. Growing, why? Because there's more people becoming wealthier, which is a good thing. They are not in poverty. But the bad thing, the consequence of that, is they become self-entitled. They become arrogant. So that's just my theory. Like exactly what it's talking about there. You know, once the food problem is solved, there's hundreds of problems. Which, yeah. The food problem in America is relatively solved. There's actually a food problem in America, but not the food problem that you think of. It's a different kind of food problem.
So it is not that there are problems, it is just that you have a cerebral capacity that you don't know how to use. Yes? If you're alone and you're feeling miserable, what does it mean? Your intelligence has turned against you. Once your intelligence has turned against you, you pray and call whatever forces you want, no damn thing is going to work for you, 100%. If your intelligence turns against you, you are a finished case, isn't it? Huh? All kinds of sufferings on a daily basis. What do you think they're suffering? When is the last time somebody poked you with a dagger? Never happened to you, isn't it? So what is the suffering? You're poking yourself all the time, endlessly. Oh, of course you have good reasons for that. There's no reason, it's just dumb stupid, okay? Yes, it's just dumb stupid that you're constantly poking yourself and you think it's being intellectual? Not at all, you just don't know how to use the sharpness of your intellect, that's all it is. Instead of using it towards a solution, you are making a big problem out of it. You think you're suffering life. No, you're only suffering the two most significant faculties of being human, which is a vivid sense of memory and a fantastic sense of imagination. This is what you're suffering. You suffer what happened 10 years ago. You suffer what may happen day after tomorrow already.
I'm sorry, when I said 10 years ago, it is ridiculous to think about the fact that something… I mean, I am absolutely to blame for that one, because there is some things in my past that every time I think about it, it hurts me. It's nothing major. It's just like, I can't believe I did that. That was super dumb. I regret it. And I have not been able to handle that very well. The only thing I can do is just to continue on about my business and forget about it until I'm reminded of it again. Maybe talking about it, or maybe thinking about it a lot more often, maybe will… It's kind of like a pain, like when you do certain things to your body over and over again, you either develop like a callus there so that it can take more hits, it hardens up so that it won't be as rough, or like you continue to work out and you get sore muscles, and then as you continue to do more, your muscles will no longer become sore because they can become stronger, or to become numb to the pain that you don't feel it anymore. Probably maybe thinking about those times may numb it to the point where I'm like, I'm done with it, I've thought about it enough, no need to worry about it anymore. I don't know. But yeah, the 10 years ago thing, kind of weird. It's not happening now, yet it's affecting you now. And a keen sense of memory, that is not me, I have terrible memory, but somehow, well, I will say, I have terrible memory, but my memory's so good that it remembers stuff that I don't want to remember.
What does this mean? This simply means you're suffering your memory and imagination. You have no contact with life because your psychological structure has become larger than the cosmic structure. This is your problem. This must be settled. Especially if you're going to get into public life, it's very important you settle this damn thing that you are not the problem. You're never the problem. Outside problems, according to our capabilities, we'll do our best, that's all there is.
Sadhguru, one question on karma.
She's
So, can good karma cancel out bad karma? And
What did you do today?
I'm asking for humanity, not for myself.
Asking for a friend.
And is our life predestined, or can we change it by karma? And what is good karma?
Okay, so let me reposition myself here. So my understanding of karma has changed over watching his videos, and understanding of non-duality, how I understood that, how everything is Brahman, how I thought about Brahman before Swami Sarvapriyananda was a bit different. It was like a dream, which is kind of true, but I was looking at it still wrong. Now I can understand how karma can be separate but the same as Brahman. It makes better sense now, at least again from my understanding of Brahman now, that all Brahman is all things not limited by things, all space not limited by space, all time not limited by time. Or someone said Brahman is, which I get what that person in the comment says. But yeah, so do I believe in karma? To a degree. More in terms of the idea behind it, in terms of immediately, not like next life or previous life. I don't believe in that, but I do believe that if you do good throughout life, generally speaking, people will be good to you because they recognize, hey, there's that guy that helped me out during my time of need. I'll help him out now. Or, you know, maybe you do good to someone and that someone says, you know, that person did good to me, and then he sees another person down the road, it's like, you know, he needs help. I want to return the favor to the person that helped me out, and I'll help him. So while the good karma may not come back to you, but it can be passed on to someone else. It could be this goodness that will go from one person to the next. I believe someone some time ago, they did a I forgot what they called it, but it's where they something I wanted to pass along, but it's basically they do a good deed to someone, and that person does a good deed for someone else, and that person does a good deal, the good deed for someone else, and it just keeps going on and on and on. So you just do one good deed, and then the next person, the next person, the next person. It seems like it's one good deed and you're done. Not necessarily so, but the idea is pretty good. I mean, I don't know how far that went. I forgot what they called it though, but I do believe in that immediately. Not again, I don't believe in reincarnation. I don't believe in past lives, although there's been weird things about that, but still not enough proof for me to believe it yet.
So let's understand this word. I know this has become part of English lexicon. Oh, karma is an English word now.
Well, that's the beauty about English. It does adapt a lot from a lot of different languages. You know, if there's not a word for it in English, we'll adopt it. It's not a bad thing, really. I mean, at least the good thing is the fact that hopefully in the dictionary and stuff, it'll say where it originally comes from. I think English took a lot from Latin, I believe. Well, English took a lot of words from a lot of different places, and that's one thing with even my own country's language. There wasn't a word for pizza, so they just adopted the pizza word. Why create a new word when a word already exists? You know what I'm saying? Just take this like pizza, all right.
The word karma means action. As you sit here, there is physical action going on, there is mental action going on, emotional activity going on, energy activity going on in every one of us. Whether you're awake or asleep, 4 dimensions of karma are happening all the time. Since you woke up today morning, except for that bad karma you did. No, you don't have to reveal that.
Just know that we know that you did bad karma, that's all.
Since you woke up today morning till this moment, just a few hours, How much of these 4 dimensions of karma did you perform consciously?
None, probably, without realizing it.
Should I answer?
Oh.
I was not conscious while performing my actions, they just happened.
I'm saying for almost every human being is well below 1%. If you take in a day, well below 1%. So when 99% of your actions are accidental or unconscious, you do one thing, you just drive here. Here the traffic is very slow, it's safe to try this experiment. 99% of the time, just close your eyes and simply sit like this. Once in a way, handle the steering. Let's see where you will be in 5 minutes.
On a tree?
This is a disaster of human life. So you must understand this. This is the most profound dimension of Eastern cultures, that we told you your life is your karma. This means your life is your making. There is no manager sitting… I'm not talking about you guys. There's no manager sitting up there and managing you. Your life is your karma. The way you do it is the way it happens. There is no other way. Only because over 99% is happening unconsciously, it looks like some other force is manipulating you. All bad drivers are like this. When they get into some kind of a crash, I was driving properly only, something happened. Have you heard this? Something happened, something supernatural happened and I crashed my car.
I will say, okay, his explanation of karma, I still do believe. It's a little bit different from how I've understood it, and I still guess… I guess Swami Sarvapriyananda, I guess there is karma that follows good and bad karma, I think. Because he does say that it doesn't happen this life, it usually happens next life. I believe he said that. I don't know whether he was teaching about karma in a different context than what he believes, I'm not sure. But karma, he does explain that karma is action as well. But it's also in terms of good and bad karma. So far he's not saying anything about like good or bad karma, but karma as action so far.
No, you're just a dumb driver. So the same thing goes for life. The same thing goes for life, that we constantly reminded you. Now in this generation it's lost in probably maybe your mother or let's say your grandmother's generation. If they sit down, stood up, they say the karma, prarabdha, mukti, moksha. These are proper day-to-day conversation, not spiritual conversation. Yes or no? Every day. It's time you bring it back, because karma means you're reminding yourself, everything that I'm doing and not doing is my fundamental responsibility. If you ask me, people have been asking, I have not articulated this till recently, but some people have been asking me, so I'm these days talking to them and I'm saying, what is the mission? They ask me. I say, the mission is just this, religion to responsibility.
I was going to pause it and go back, not go back, but go to what he was saying, which is one of the two things that I believe. Let me just say 2 things I believe. Understanding and taking responsibility. Taking responsibility gives you so much power, because when you take responsibility for things, it empowers you. You realize you have the power to change things. I'm not saying you can change other people or the end results of some things, but you have the ability to change the things that happen in your life. Not all the time, it may not work all the time in your way, but if you understand that you've done something to make change in your life, that gives you such an empowerment to control your life. Not other people's lives, not other things, but your life. And it shows that you're not helpless in your life. The other thing I believe is understanding. So understand that when you take responsibility for something, what did you do to cause what it is so that it doesn't happen again? You can take responsibility to a lot of mistakes, that's very empowering, but you gotta stop making those mistakes, that's understanding.
You think it is there. No, it's here. This is what karma means, that you understand you're the source of your life. Is there no other force working in the universe? Yes, it is. But even to harness this, harness that is your business, isn't it? Hello? Even to harness that is your business, otherwise what's the point? So karma means your life is your making. There is nothing else. that can decide. If you take charge of your body, let's say you have some mastery over your physical body, 15 to 20% of your life and destiny will be in your hands. If you take charge of your mental process, 50 to 60% of your life and destiny will be in your hands. If you take charge of your basic life energy into your hands, 100% of your life and destiny will be in your hands. Every young person must first explore this dimension before you step out into the world and mess other people.
I can 100% agree with that. I definitely needed a process. This probably is in inner engineering, which I do have his book. I already have the equipment that I needed. I just haven't started it yet. I've been so busy, it's been crazy, and I want to get started on that. And then I'll take the class, the course. I just want to get the inner engineering book out the way first. I have a feel. I'm hoping that will be a smooth introduction into the classes. Yes.
Yes, very important.
I agree with him about that.
What is
Everyone
the
needs to know
fix
that,
for
I
the
think.
morning's bad karma? You must understand, karma is not like reward and punishment system. It is just residual memory within yourself. Everything, every thought, every emotion, every action, every moment that you do, in some way is recorded into this. This memory creates a tendency for you because so much memory is gathered, naturally, it's like software, you're writing unconscious software every moment. See, if you walk from here to here, I'm telling you, there are at least 25 different kinds of smells. You're not conscious unless something is very strong, acute, in some way, in a positive or negative way,
Then that person
then
needs
you
a
will
shower.
notice, otherwise you're not noticing. You will see if a dog passes, he's just figuring out you, what you have done, what you have not done, your good karma, bad karma, everything is just figuring out. Yes or no? You also are conscious, your system also is perceiving it because your neurological system is far more superior to the dog's neurological system. Do you agree with me? Hello? Dog lovers, is it okay? Human neurological system is far more advanced than any other creature, you also capable. But because of cerebral activity, you're missing it. You do one thing, just go live in the jungle for some time, you will see suddenly your sense of smell. You just know everything just by raising your nose a little bit, sticking your nose out, you just know what's coming, what's going. You will see in the villages in India, they'll say it's going to rain today.
Oh, you can smell that. You can smell
Nothing, no sign of rain, no cloud, no nothing. He'll simply… and he'll say it's going to rain today, and it will, because the changes are happening in the atmosphere. So, because of this unconscious nature, if you walk from here to here, these 25 smells, for example, are all recorded in the system. And all like this, visual inputs, audio inputs, everything is recorded. Depending upon the type of material you've taken in, slowly you will develop an unconscious tendency. Suddenly you'll like this, not something else, because of the kind of inputs you have taken in. These tendencies, traditionally, because you're coming from the scripture, traditionally we call this vasanas. Vasana is a very good expression because vasana literally means smell. So, depending upon the type of smell, accordingly you draw that type of life towards you or you move in that direction, that's what they're trying to say. But this is essentially, to put it in modern terminology, you're building an unconscious software, so naturally it begins to function in a certain way. It doesn't matter what is the software, can you rewrite it? Of course you can. That is also your karma. So will you allow unconscious activity that you have performed to rule the nature and destiny of your life, or will you make sure it is the conscious activity that you perform which will rule the destiny of your life? This is something you have to decide.
Okay, I think that's a good stopping point. But yes, actually, I mean, amazingly, something about Dandapani has said, when you start to do certain things as a kind of like a habit, like an everyday thing, you tend to do that without actually having to practice it. So, for the most part of my life, I do good action, I mean, simple stuff, again, Very simple stuff. Holding the door open, just saying thank you, just smiling and having a pleasant conversation with people. Very simple things. Now, I don't know if that's going to affect your karma in a good or bad way, but I think those things, so simple, so easy, cost nothing, has a positive effect on people's lives. Being nice, being friendly, being funny, opening the door, when you see someone, I'm not saying you have to sit there and like, okay, let's go. I do that sometimes. Before I get the door, I look behind me to see if there's anyone that I can recognize that's going to walk through that door. If I do, I grab the door, I hold the door open. Even if they're kind of far away, I hold the door open until they go through. Simple things, just something that I do. Sometimes I don't always get it. The door. Sometimes I have to go, But most of the time I hold the door open. I subconsciously do nice things. Now, whether that's karma worthy or not, I don't know, but irrelevant whether it is or isn't. It's things that I enjoy anyway, so why not? Anyways, that's part 1 of Sadhguru at Harvard University. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.